Hey, everybody, we just want to jump in front of episode 3 and let you know that this one was rough. It was actually our worst episode and our best episode, I think, so far.
It's definitely our best one.
I think it's our
Definitely.
best one, but it's also a little rough because this was my first time on camera, the first time doing this, and Marty's a lot more comfortable doing this type of thing. I was not comfortable, and it shows, but just forgive us, and
It was
I
great.
hope you enjoy it.
Hell yeah.
You are listening to
Marty and the Breaux. I went to the gym like 2-3 days ago, and there's half price books across the way, and I was like, whatever, I'm trying to kill some time. It's a little early, Alex wakes up a little later, and I try to sneak around the house while she's asleep. So instead of doing that, I decided, okay, forget it, I'm gonna get this book. So I found this book. Really, no, okay, let me back up a little bit. I watched a YouTube YouTube video, and they were talking about Thurgood Marshall. You know who that is?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Okay, I didn't.
Yeah.
Okay. No idea who this guy was at first. You know what I mean? We don't. Yeah.
That's a little shocking.
Yeah. I mean, I don't. Whatever. I'm from the hood.
Right, well, I'm sure I don't know him. I don't know him. Like, I haven't read a book on him or anything like that.
Yeah.
So what did you find out?
So Thurgood Marshall, as you know, prolific Supreme Court justice, right? Black. He's one of the most famous Supreme Court justices.
He was I thought he was the first.
I'm pretty sure he's the first. I don't want to misstate that. I'm pretty sure he's the first. Yeah, but a lot of the history. Well, a lot of history learned is so wrong, it's ridiculous. Also, but that's another story for another day. But yeah. So I'm pretty sure he was the first.
I think the original group of Supreme Court justices were all black, actually.
Well, I think that So
did I learn my history wrong?
Well, if I'm not mistaken, like I'm about to say, I think that's true too. I mean, I don't know. Actually, I think I know it sounds crazy. No, you'd be surprised. So I think there's a lot of. So the civil, there was two civil rights acts, right? Did you know that?
Yeah.
There's one before the one in the 60s. There's one way before that, actually, right? And that's what. And so in that time, Reconstruction, whatever, around that time, what we're talking about, there's a lot more black people in political office than history likes to admit right now. So that's why I say I don't know. I have to do a little more homework on that, because more I learn, I'm like, oh snap, there was black people in this office, and then in the 60s they were like dead all that. You know what I mean? It actually tightened down on black people. But long story short, I found this book. It's called Devil in the Grove, right? And I think it was there was a video where they were talking about Thurgood Marshall was a asset of the FBI, was secretly an FBI asset spying on the black black nationalist groups, and just groups that
damn.
Yeah, man, I was like, yo.
Well, how incredible is that? I mean,
well, it won a Pulitzer Prize, so I don't.
Okay.
Right in there, Pulitzer. Man. Yeah, so it's. Yeah, man. It's and really this book. So it actually just kind of skims across that. That was the only reason I got the book, because of that, that part was like, this should be what all the book's about right here, And then
we should share that YouTube video that got you started on that.
Yeah. I'll look it up. I'll look for it. It's actually a conspiracy theorist. It's one of those, like, look, man, if you subscribe to this channel, not everything they say is true. I just need you to understand, sometimes they come across some ones that are real now, but most of them, a lot of the times they're just having fun. Y'all just understand, it's one of those kind of channels, but we'll definitely cross that bridge. Yeah, man. But that was it. Just wanted to get that little history, and I haven't finished the book yet, but man, is it good so far. I mean, fascinating. Yeah, man. So like I said, he was playing both. He was a double agent, basically. He was spying on, he was, because he did a lot for the civil rights movement.
What is it they say about a suspect? Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. Allegedly.
Put that in there. His family will come back and get us.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't know, man. There's FBI documents. I mean, I went to the. It led me down to the vaults, and it's something I try and convince everybody to go to. I used to be nervous at first, but there's a lot of, through the Freedom of Information Act, there's a lot of documents that were once previously, whatever.
Anyway, explain that to me again. That there's a website that has all the freedom of
Exactly.
information.
Exactly. So yeah, so through the, you know, once they passed the
results.
exactly. So once with the Freedom of Information Act, they allowed, the FBI after a certain amount of time, they any classified information can be if requested, and it costs money or whatever, it can be revealed to the public, right? And they do redact it a lot too, but there's still, they did that with, like, for example, COINTELPRO. That's how a lot of people know about MK Ultra, with the whole, mind control experiments and stuff, like all that. You can look that up yourself if you were, go to FBI, .volt.gov or something like that. Yeah, and you can go to the official site where it's the Vault, and they're like, hey, just so you know, these are real documents. There's a whole,
you've got the documents to prove it.
Yeah, exactly. They're letting you know, like, look, this ain't no game. This site, like, you're about to get on some. This is government. There's a whole, warning before you go into that. When you go into there, they're Xerox, like, it looks like old photocopied, documents.
Yeah.
Like it feels like it's like virtually that feeling of going into a library and finding a box, opening that box up and finding old documents, you know what I mean, and kind of knocking the dust off. That's what it literally feels like virtually, because it's all on there, like handwritten stuff that's just been copied on and put up there, stuff from, like I said, from before there were computers, right? So it's fascinating. There's like what I always recommend all my people, black people, to go do is definitely go check out COINTELPRO. It's there's so much, that's the program they use to spy on all the, civil rights leaders and groups, and where they, tried to convince Dr. King to kill himself.
What's the name again? COINTELPRO?
Yeah, COINTELPRO. Like coin as in like a dollar coin, TELPRO. And I think it was counterintelligence program, COINTELPRO.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so it was, they spied on, and it wasn't just black identity, it wasn't just black groups. It was also the KKK. They watched too. They just mostly.
Oh, good. Thank goodness.
Exactly. Right. They just mostly destroyed it and watched black, they were just kind of reporting on that KKK, and they did mostly just, actually put a thorn in the side and try to actually, stop the civil rights movement. So it's all like, it's all happened, all for sure. You can go look it up yourself, and it's a different feeling than like hearing somebody talk about it versus looking through those documents yourself, seeing what actual agents were saying about actual black people that were trying to get freedom and rights. I don't know, it hits real close, so it's something I always recommend people do, because it's something different than somebody telling you. You see it yourself. So, but yeah, man, that's pretty much it.
That's cool. Well, so today we've got episode 3.
Yep.
And this is the struggle. So the struggle is something a little bit about, I believe.
A little bit, some might say.
I know that you and we speak this language now. We've known each other for quite a while. I know what the struggle is, but can you just, for somebody who might not really know everything that means, if you could kind of explain, what do we mean by the struggle?
Yeah, so man, and I guess in my community, when we speak on a struggle, it's just the struggle of life, basically. You know what I mean? Like the everyday struggle. I think Biggie said it best. It's the everyday struggle. If you haven't heard that song by Biggie, I highly recommend checking that song out. It's for everybody. And Biggie Smalls' Everyday Struggle, Notorious B.I.G. It's amazing, but it's just trying to make it in America, being black in America, man. It's a literally an everyday struggle. Just walking out your door, it can be incredibly stressful and frustrating, you know what I mean? And there's so many different components that go into that, a lot more stuff than people. Money,
usually the context that I you and I talk about it is in the context of money, and how much it just doesn't seem like you can ever escape the cycle of where's the money for paying the rent this month, and where's the money for that. It just goes on, and you never can climb out of that pit of struggle and take a breath, because you're always running behind. And I mean, am I is that a big part of the struggle?
Exactly. That's exactly what happens. And most of the time when you, there's no how do I put this? Like there's no actual
no relief.
there's no relief. There's no, there's
Yeah.
not a moment where you actually, like say, get your head above water, and actually being poor is more expensive than being rich, right? You know what I mean? Because there's a lot
Yeah.
more already I don't have, for example, somebody like me who, has very little, you know what I mean? And it's very hard to move around, it's actually more expensive or harder for me to get from point A to point B because, for example, if you don't have a car or you can't drive, like I don't have a driver's license or my license is suspended, right? And because of that, I would need to Uber or Lyft around, and obviously that's more expensive than actually paying. Having a car, I could pay for gas and actually, on a daily basis. And because of that, I actually move around less. I take less opportunity, to for jobs and things of that nature. For example, if there was a job in the oil and gas industry, where it's like an hour and a half drive, but let's say they pay $25 an hour. Well, if I had a car that would be worth it for my situation, I would actually
It would be possible.
it would be totally
In your case,
possible.
it's not even possible.
Exactly. It's not,
Yeah.
it wouldn't, that's not something I can't do. And if I tried to Uber, it would just, it would be the same as, I would.
You would be losing money.
Exactly. I'd level out to making minimum wage or less. Right. So yeah, that's, that's one of those things, so yeah.
I remember, hey, I wanted to bring up, we were having a meal at the Green Mesquite barbecue one time, and you paid. You're like, let me get this, and I don't know, our bill was like $23 or $25 or something like that, and you paid, and then you left the waitress like a $25 tip or something, and I'm like, dude, what are you doing, man? And you responded and said, I got to make up for my people.
Yeah.
Do you
Oh
remember that?
yeah. So I don't think it was 25, but I did give her like, well, how much was it? It depends. So if
It was
yes,
like at least a $20 tip on a $25 bill or something.
I think it was like 10. I think it was like 50% tip. I
No,
think I did.
no, no,
Was it 20
no.
on 20?
I
I
remember
might
that
have.
because I was like, "What are you doing, dude?"
She,
But that's what you said. I got to make up for my people or something, and I'm
yeah.
like, I don't know.
She
That
must.
was
She must have been cute.
what do you mean
Nah,
by that?
she must have been cute. I don't know, but nah. So I was like, but no. So it's one of those things. Like if I've worked in this industry, right? So if you know how it goes, man. They call us, they call us Canadians, right? So especially out down here in the South, it might be something a lot of people are not privy to, but if a group of black people walk in and they're white servers, what they would do is they'd be like, "Oh, we got a group of Canadians come in," and that's their code for saying "nigga." These niggas is in the building, literally, right? So
Okay.
that's how
Yeah.
like anybody in the industry knows that nobody wants to serve the black guest because there's a big thing that black people don't tip, which in my opinion is somewhat true. You know what I mean? The reason that there are reasons for stereotypes.
That's why you were motivated to make up for your people. That's why you had that impulse, because
Yeah.
there's an element of truth to it.
Yeah. There's definitely an element of truth to it, and also it's a lot of people don't a lot of people just stop at the yeah, this is a thing. They don't question why. Well, what I'm saying, yeah, this may be true, but why is it true, right? What I'm saying, and I think a big issue that's the big issue. People just like, oh, black people don't tip because of this, that, and the other. It's like somebody like me. You got to remember, like we weren't, first of all, what I'm saying, like we didn't, there was a point in time where we weren't even allowed to dine. You know what I mean? Like we couldn't even, we had to go around the back, right? What I'm saying? And people, it's a lot, it's not as far back as it may seem. That's like 2 or 3 generations, right?
Yeah.
Like literally. And so for somebody, right.
I used to wait tables too. Not as recently as you, but I was waiting tables, and the subject came up about that black people don't tip it well or whatever. And some conversation I had with somebody, I guess they were maybe one of the servers that's black that was on the staff, but the conversation went, I think he or she said, the reason that black people don't tip as well is because of the struggle, is that it's so hard to get every dollar that they get, and going out to eat is a treat that they're not doing all the time, but just that they got out there to eat and they scrapped and saved to do it. The last thing they want to do is be super generous on the tip, because it was so hard to relatively speaking, it's a struggle to get enough money to go out to eat.
Exactly. No, I agree. And to be and to put something on top of that, also, a lot of times when I'm being served, it's kind of obvious this person doesn't want to serve me, right? You know what I mean? Like they don't think I'm a tip. I'm black, right? So there's been plenty. When I first moved out here to Austin,
Canadian.
perfect example. I'm Canadian, exactly, right? So when I first moved out here to Austin, for example, me and Alex went to a place called. We went to a place called what was it called?
Doesn't matter.
Baker Street Grill and Pub. That's where we went. So this Baker Street. Now I used to work for Baker Street in Houston, right? So we went to one out here. Yeah, really. I came out here. I was like, all right, cool. I'm gonna go to this Baker Street. So when I went there, we sat for about 45 minutes, not exaggerating. Before we had to go to I went to the bartender and was like, yo, what is happening here? Why is nobody? I've seen this lady. No, there was like 4 people. It was like our table. And another table outside, you know what I mean? And like 2 people inside, swear to God, like 45 minutes. And the whole time I'm sitting there, I'm just like, I'm telling Alex, I'm like, all right, no, sit here, just, because, at first I was going to go get somebody, we see somebody walk by, I manage restaurants. So I'm like, no, sit right here. I just made eye contact with this server.
So you're just like up by the little lobby, like wait here to be seated booth?
No. They had the they had the sign, please sit, and we'll somebody will come to you. Okay. And like I said,
So you get a table and then nobody comes to say hi.
Nobody comes to say. I'm making eye contact with servers. They see we're there. We obviously weren't there before. There's a 6'7" black dude who just walked in the building. Everybody saw me. You know what I mean? Just being like, you just saw me walk in the building, just being real, right? You know what I mean? So I'm here. I'm here. You know what I'm saying?
Sneak in.
No, I ain't no. There was no sneaking in at all. Yeah. So we know we're here. So, long story short, I go into I talk to the bartender. I'm like, what's going on here? Like, and she apologizes, and actually the bartender's one that took care of us. And I tipped her well too. But you got to remember, like, a lot of times we're getting served, and it's what do you want to eat? You know what I mean? That's kind of the energy. It's like you want me to tip you when obviously you don't want to serve me. You know what I mean? Most of the time is what it is. On top of that, I barely can afford this anyway. I probably go out to eat once a month. You know what I'm saying? You get what I mean? Like it's a lot less of a it's a luxury more so than not. Like people who don't tip don't go out to eat. I think it's just that simple. There's a lot of people I know. Like I had to teach my sisters when I first started working in the restaurant industry. I didn't know nothing about tipping. Then I had to tell my sisters like, "Hey, y'all got to tip," and explain to you why. You know what I mean? And they at first were like, "Tip for what?" They don't, unless you're in the industry or you actually do that often, you don't know that that's what goes on. That people make $2.13 an hour, and literally, the only way that they pay bills is if you give them money, which, by the way, is ridiculous anyway. Like, let's just acknowledge.
You're saying people from your community, they don't know that tipping is a thing? I mean, obviously they know by the time they're in their.
No. So I think a lot of times no. Like, so did I tell you I didn't? The first time I sat down at a restaurant, I was 18 years old. I had never sat down and went out to eat until I was 18. And it may sound like what, but that's a lot more common than I think people would think. And especially when
I was just about to say.
What? Yeah, no. So I mean, I know nobody wanted me. Like I've been to, I had been to like a, how do you say it? I've been to McDonald's before, I've been to, but yeah. My mom, you gotta remember, my mom had 4 kids. She's not taking 4 kids out to eat, single mom, having to work. It just didn't happen. You know what I mean? Like I didn't grow up that way because she didn't have the time to do that. She was, I don't know. Now that I'm older and understand, I'm like, yeah, no, that wasn't going to happen. You know what I mean? Like that just was not going to happen, So understanding that, like, there's a lot more people in situations like that than how I call it is third world country poor. Like, because a lot of people wonder, like, when you think, somebody's third world country poor, a lot of people a lot of times think, oh, this person has to walk somebody in third world country barely eating, walking miles, to get to work or get to a village, yeah. There are people living like that in America, third world country poor. Normally, like, having to walk a mile to go get something to eat or to get to their job, barely eating, you know what I mean? Have lights, half the month, you know what I mean? That kind of thing. Like, that's how I grew up, man. I've seen I watched my mom electrocute herself at the light, trying to turn the light back on while it was raining. True story. You know what I mean? Like
wait, what?
That's just random. But I'm just saying, like, that's how poor we were. She was trying to, the light meter, the thing I've seen her, she was trying to pull that because basically what that is like, it looks like a giant plug. They put like these plastic
Yeah, the
rods
prongs
on
on the
the
back of it. Yeah,
prongs.
but
Exactly.
She was trying to hack
Yeah, what do you mean
utilities?
trying? What do you mean trying? That's what we do. Why do you think I know what it looks like? You know, I ain't never worked for no utility company. You know, I ripped one of them out the wall myself. You know what I mean? That's you know, for real. You know. So, but I've said in the rain, she got. I was young. I watched her get electrocuted to hair stand, like it was like a cartoon. Like one of those visceral. I'll never forget that moment. I thought she died. You know, she fell on the ground.
How old were you at the time?
And was like, I don't know. I was around like 14, 13, 14. No, 11. I was 11. I remember because we were staying in Shannon Hills, 12720. Yeah, man. Back in the day, man. Yeah. So that's that type of.
So you don't have as a family, you don't have enough money to pay the light bill, the electric bill, but you gotta do something. You gotta figure it out, and your solution is to try to jump the box, the electrical box.
Not even jump it. Just you rip that whole thing out, and they're like I said, there's prongs on there. Put plastic parts on there to stop the electricity from flowing. You just take them plastic parts off, put it right back in the wall, and you got electricity. That's how that's how you turn the power. Yeah, we figured that out. Yeah, so that's what she was doing. You know, so
probably a little harder today. They have those digital meters now. A little more difficult to do that. So you got to figure out how to hack those now. Yeah. Wow. No, I've never heard that story before. Man, but that's scary. You're 11 years old and your mom's getting electrocuted in front of you.
Yeah, it was a true story. True. Yeah, I swear. It was wild, man. Shout out my sisters. I know y'all remember that was crazy. But yeah, it was, and that was, and it's not like the only time, it's the only time I remember she getting electrocuted trying that. But like I said, I have blown out the entire, apartment buildings electricity, trying to turn back on our lights. Like, that's happened. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? We've been there before,
God damn. That's the struggle. When we talk about the struggle, man, if you're doing that,
yeah,
you're struggling, man. You're struggling.
That's how that's like I try to explain how I like to describe how I grew up was, I'm the last remnants of that crack epidemic. You know what I mean? Like I said, my mom was on drugs. She passed away, HIV, as you know what I'm saying? There's that whole, that, when the, that like the way the crack epidemic swept through the Black community in the 80s. That's, I caught the last wave of that. I think, more generations these days, saying like, it's more people like, the generation coming up is, my age, having kids, like the people my age kids, right? So because, I'm 30 now. So, we thought we've been, people a little older than me also thought crack was whack too. So, so we got over that hump now, right? But I was just, my life, I caught the last little bits of that, so.
And the consequences of that were, the echoes of that were pretty devastating for you. Obviously losing your mom and everything. But just how that led to, all the other things that happened. So.
Exactly. And then tying it all back to, because we were just talking about, calling us Canadians and not tipping, tying it all back to the tipping again. Like I said, it's, you're only as good as what you know, right? You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't, like, white people can come in our community and mess. I've seen a lot of, cultural faux pas, for lack of a better word, like that, a lot of transgressions white people make, and it's because they don't know. A lot of times it's, ignorance, you know what I'm saying? But for black people, it's just, for lack of a better term, it's either like, it's, I'm sorry, but, like we all struggling. I can't pay that, I can't do that right now. Or it's, yeah, man, we're just, I'm not tipping you because I can't afford it, or
like
I didn't know you have to tip. Go ahead.
I don't want to re-traumatize you or anything like that, but the socks. You remember when you were a guest?
Oh yeah. I don't even think. Oh, okay, all right. I don't even think I've ever told him this story either. So this will be the first time he hears about how much this hit me. So shout out.
But it kind of fits into what you're saying, is that you were not prepared for that experience at all, and you went over to a friend's house, invited you over for dinner, and then go ahead and tell what happened.
Yeah, so I'm gonna leave his name out for now. We'll probably throw it out there later. But so yeah, I went to a close
like that.
Yeah, exactly. So super close friend of mine. Shout out the homie. Invited me over to his house, and they're Asian, so they take shoes off, and when you come in the house, you take your shoes off, right?
Yeah.
Mind you, we talk about being super poor. I'm still super poor. I don't know. I don't think after that moment I stopped. Okay, so there was mad holes in my socks. Mad holes in my socks. There are so many holes in it.
There were
It was
more
bad.
holes than fabric.
More, yeah, no, bro. It was basically just for show. You know what I mean? The sock was for show, to show that I had socks on the shoe. I don't even know why. Looking back, I probably shouldn't even wear socks with the shoe. You know what I mean? But I did. And yeah, man. And I came there, and I don't know why I didn't put two and two together. But also, the socks, I hadn't washed clothes. The socks probably could have stood up on their own. Yeah, the socks could have stood up on their own, So I'm in there. So long story short, it was, I think this was, bro,
I think
this was his daughter's birthday party, if I'm not mistaken. He had his whole family. He wanted me to come through, and I think I'm pretty sure I'm the blackest dude he knows, and not black as in like skin. I mean like eyes a nigga. You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna come. Yeah. I am unapologetically black, right? You know what I'm saying? So I'm pretty sure has some cultural diversity around his daughter, which I love. I love that about him. You know what I mean? Like, he views me as family. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate, him hitting me up. I don't think he knew what I ain't know, we ain't know what I was in store for. And his parents were there. So it was a terrible experience because like I went in there, I walked in and I see the shoes on the floor. And I don't know why I didn't remember. I was like, oh my God, I got to take my shoes off, So I tell him like, yo, dog, I don't know if I can do that. And he was like, no, you got to take your shoes off. The parents are here. You know what I mean? It's cool. Don't worry about it. So I take my shoes off and he's a good guy. So he doesn't even mention myself. He doesn't say nothing about it. And I don't say nothing about it, but I'm looking at them. You know what I mean? He's like, it's all good, man. Let's go. Let's go meet the family and everybody. So I'm wearing the socks and I'm walking around and there are holes in them. So, and I'm trying to like take the socks, the tips and try to pull them so that, that way my toes aren't just poking through the holes, Like, it's just, and the whole time I'm there, like my mind is here. You know what I mean? All I can think, like I am like freaking out in my mind. I'm like, I'm a bum. You know what I mean? Like, and these are all there's all kinds of, First of all, he lives.
You're telling me the story, and I'm actually like feeling it in my gut.
Yeah,
I mean, the just what you were going through. I can feel it.
Yeah. It was terrible. It was one of the worst feelings. It was one of those moments for me where it's like, I had lived, from that day on, I have never, if there are holes in my socks, I immediately throw them away because of that. Yeah. That's how much that moment affected me. Like I go through to this day, I just go through my socks when I'm washing them, kind of just look over them. If they're holes, immediately they're gone. You know what I mean? I don't even, I mean,
you don't want to repeat.
I can't. I mean, it was so visceral. Yeah. Like I said, like I just felt like such a bum, and yeah, man. That's a feeling that, like I said, when you're in the struggle, that's the struggle. You know what I mean? That's the struggle encapsulated.
It's little things like that you would never predict something like that to happen in the struggle, but you're always vulnerable to some kind of mishap or embarrassment because of where you came from with regard to money,
Exactly. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. That's normally like how it feels. It's like you're always kind of hyper alert and hyper aware and focused on, like, okay, like, and people wonder why, like in the struggle, people dress so well. It's like, you are, if I'm already broke, if I dressed bummy too, are you going to take me serious, or are you going to take me more serious if I look nice, if I have nice things? You get what I'm saying? So yes, I may stay in this trash ass apartment, you know what I'm saying? But, with this Jaguar and parked outside, at least I can attract the opposite sex somewhat. There's little things, like, people, like you would be surprised, you know what I mean? Like people don't think about
somebody from the outside,
picture.
like, somebody from the white world might look at the spending patterns of somebody from your community and look at it with the completely wrong set of assumptions around why.
Exactly.
Yeah, I got
exactly.
you.
And on top of, please go ahead.
Well, I was going to shift gears just a little bit, but what were you going to say?
Well, I was going to just say real quick on top of that, there's a lot of decisions that get made on that note. For example, like for like housing, for example, right? A lot of
Yeah,
people.
that's actually that's perfect because that's where I was going to ask you because I thought that was
Okay.
a little bit of an epiphany for me because I know it's real common to think about the effects on your mental health if the relationship you are trapped in is not healthy, right? But you get trapped in it because of financial reasons. But the epiphany from talking to you about how many couples get together in the first place because of financial pressures.
Yeah, no, that's a
And that
big
I
issue.
hadn't really thought about that before you mentioned it. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So I
because like, what was your situation? Kind of like
exactly.
that.
So yeah, I have been found myself multiple times in situations where, like, understanding. So I guess a little background, like, I have a criminal history. I was locked up for 2 years, as you know, and that led me to down a path of severe mental health issues. That coupled with, the struggle, all these things. So long story short, it's probably what's best for me in life is to live alone, right? Is to get myself together, right? Now that becomes very complicated and hard when you have a felony. You know what I mean? So you can't get anything in your name. You know what I mean? I can't even legally get a driver's license right now. So, so that ability, so it leaves me, and that's just me. Like, I know so many dudes that are in the same position where it's like, man, dude can't get anything in his name, not a house, nothing can be in his name. So what option is he left with other than, not either
Yeah,
going into some kind of partnership, like either having a homie or a significant other or family to, actually assist them, co-sign, or, that stay in their house. A lot of times dudes get, back kind of into a situation where they're kind of, they find themselves trying to, use some woman or a girl to, live with, and, what I'm saying, actually be able to find some modicum of consistency and stability in their lives. You know what I'm saying? Because, when you
just to get a roof, to get a place to just to get a place to stay,
exactly.
just a place to live, just to have a place to live because you don't have the option available to you to like I would just if I need a place to live, I just go. It's easy. I just go find an apartment or a roommate situation, whatever. But if I wanted to live by myself, I could. I have the means to buy a house, not a and I to get an apartment, whatever. I wouldn't even have to think about those considerations, but you do.
Yeah, exactly. I kind of have, yeah, there's no, all of that always, creeps up in your mind. And then, think about the complications of that. So now, there might be a guy who's in a situation where it's like, okay, I just need a roof over my head. So, he meets some girl who's, he, finds himself trying, basically using, you know what I mean? Like using this person to, and then that
Or in this
breeds a,
case, two people could be using each other just because they don't have,
exactly.
they run into each other, the circumstances line up, and they're like, not a really, not a match that was brought together out of a lot of the
Genuine interest out of necessity.
genuine interests, or
Exactly.
yeah, it's more out of
So,
necessity. Yeah.
So I think, and what happens with that is, there's abuse that's bred into that. Like, you can't. There'll be resentment bred into that. You know what I mean? Like that's a breeding ground for an abusive relationship, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When people are together out of necessity rather
Yeah.
than just genuine, like, oh, I like to live with this person. Like, there's
Yeah.
so many
Yeah.
relationships in there out here that are more so like, man, well, I mean, what else can I do right now? You know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah.
guess I could go down to the, and a lot of places there's literally no other route for somebody like me. Like, there is not one, there's not a housing, there's no public housing for men. You know what I mean? Like, nothing of near that. There's nowhere I could, anybody could go. You know what I'm saying? Like in my
Yeah.
situation,
Yeah.
and a lot of places are. And I'm in Austin, right? And it's even worse in Houston. There's zero places here. There's less than zero places in Houston, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
like,
Yeah. It makes
like,
perfect sense.
yeah. So crazy, right? I know it's,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Well, one other thing I was gonna bring up that I thought was really interesting with you that when you pour is all you've known, if you come into some money by through whatever means, it's going to be gone real quick. And one of the reasons is because you've got a backlog of places for that money to
Exactly.
go. That's for
Exactly.
sure. But another thing that was even more interesting to me, I think, something that you said, that when you're poor and you've always been poor, having money doesn't have the same weight that it might be if you were more in an upward spiral of advancing in your career and you're gathering assets. In When
Exactly.
you're poor, it's like the meaning of money is less, because so if I lose this money, I'm just going to be poor again. Well, I've always been poor.
Exactly.
So what's the difference?
Exactly.
I know how to manage poor. I'm alive, and but just thought that's something that I had never considered, because when somebody who's poor wins the lottery, next thing you know, they're poor again, and it kind of becomes that, when I'm saying that they don't have the experience with money and valuing money and over time and managing it and just knowing, developing a healthy relationship with money. So they get a little bit of money, and next thing you know, it it's gone. It's gone.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I agree wholeheartedly. And there's like, I guess taking it a couple steps or a couple places. First of all, it is a lot of ignorance, right? Like on my end, like for example, I am not the greatest with money because I'm not the greatest with investing. We ain't never had none. It's like, it's like giving somebody a car and like take care of this car. Like, oh, okay, what does that, what does that mean? Like, well, you got to
Yeah.
do oil changes and tire rotations. If you've never been told or heard anything about these things, what are you just gonna discover it out of the clear blue sky? Oh, you got to rotate the tires, and you got to. There's a star pattern to do this thing, and it's you get what I mean. There's a lot more. There's a
Yeah.
lot
Yeah.
to it. You know what I mean? And that's just car maintenance, right? When it comes to
Yeah.
financial stuff, there's actual mechanisms in place to not to the system's designed to separate me from my money. That's what you know what I mean. Like we're I've told you before. Black people are the ultimate capitalists, right? I think capitalism. I think like how do I put it? Like I'm a firm believer. I had kind of had an epiphany that like, oh snap, capitalism. Like we are the number one capitalists as far as Black people when it comes to being consumers. Not on the producer side, but the consumer, right? I'm saying we are capitalism's golden child in my opinion. We bought a hook, line, and sinker because they took our culture and cut it off at one point, right? Through taking it, bring us here to America. All we know is capitalism. That's why when you see us in the hood, we're doing the money phones to our ear. Like we glorify money, but also in being poor, it's about consistency, right? So it's kind of like the whole thing with I don't know if you heard about those studies when people that are they track people who people's happiness level, people who are poor, who people's happiness levels through getting money and losing money through lottery and everything. So like there
Yeah.
are people or even being legs being amputated. But they found that people that were there was like a baseline happiness, right? Like somebody
Yeah.
would be this happy, they lose their leg, they might get lower, but then later on they come back to this baseline. And the same opposite for people winning the lottery, they were this happy, they won the lottery, the happiness came up to here, then even if they still have the money later on, their happiness still comes back down to here, right? So I
Right.
think I think it has more to do with consistency and stability than anything, right? The idea is just consistency. I've consistently ain't had shit, so I'm used to not having shit, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when I like when I do come into contact with stuff, I'm like, okay, I need to gather there are of course the important stuff, like like for example with me, I had I tried to immediately get stuff with the card knocked out, and there was thousands of dollars. Like right now there's just debt sitting that's just like at any point this there's every dollar that comes in is not mine pretty much at this point. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
for the next couple of years, you know what I mean? Being honest about it, right? So,
Yeah.
there are those parts to it. And then on top of that, when I do get the other money, I don't, saving, you got to learn to that's a consistent behavior, right? You know what I'm saying? You don't save by doing it once, right? You know what I'm saying? That's something that you have to do consistently to have a savings, right? If you've never been able
Yeah.
to, if that's not something that's, that happens, if you've never experienced that type of stability, then it's almost impossible to do it. Kind of like
And
with,
it's almost
changing a tire or
also
something.
right. Almost also because you have a lineage of wealth and money, uh the I know that the average Black family in America has a net worth of like $17,000, and the average white family has an average net worth of $5,000 or something very close to that. That was a study from the Brookings Institute from a few years ago, and that's a 10x difference. So if you don't have that family history of saving and building wealth, you're not going to the dinner table talking about the importance of saving, because everybody in your past lineage has been in the struggle too.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
and on top of that,
get that information.
Exactly. And on top of that, when you think about it, like a lot of times, an issue that, how do I put it like this? The system wasn't designed to keep me, keep money in my hand. Like, like I said, you got to remember, like capitalism, like we were like when you really let's back up and kind of have a bird's eye view of like, when this these systems were put in place and created, right? They were genuinely created with in mind, actually people in mind with, okay, these people that look like this, they cannot, rise up. You know what I mean? So these systems were actually designed with that in mind, right? So now we're at, now we're in 2021, still dealing with systems that were designed with in mind to separate me from wealth and not let me get that, right? You know what I mean? So it shouldn't be surprising to anybody that, at this point, it's like, yeah, I mean, obviously, black people aren't going to happen. We weren't designed like this was never meant for us. And proof's in the pudding, kind of, right? You know what I'm saying? We ain't we have no representation anywhere, whether it be in the, like, I think this year, like, everybody's like, oh, did you hear? There was we had the first black senator in the South was elected in 2021. I'm like, and we're excited about this. Like, you know what I mean? The first black senator from the South in 2021, bro, they were literally, we thought the Jetsons was taking place in like 2010s, right? You know what I'm saying? They thought, we were only flying in cars at this point. We still aren't, you know what I mean? And so when you look at, like I said, when you take a bigger look out and look at it from that viewpoint, it's like, oh, okay.
It's devastating. Right. It's
exactly.
Devastating.
We're not, the main reason, in my opinion, like, black people, the wealth was not designed for us to accumulate wealth, right? Like all of these, there's a lot of systems in place. That's not how this is supposed to go. And it's not how it goes, by design, I say, not even on no.
Well, even if it's not a conscious design at this point, it's a institutional foregone conclusion.
Exactly. Well, I do want to push back and say it obviously was conscious design. You know what I mean? Like for it to.
At some point in time, but I guess I was speaking to people who, for them, racism sits more in their subconscious, and then they're conscious. So I'm not imagining a group of white men in a smoke-filled room talking about these things. It's just there.
It's kind of what y'all do. I don't know. That's kind of how that works, man. I don't know. But yeah, no, man. It's set up in the system, and nowadays, probably, for the most part, that's not a thing, right? But I think, there was a point in time where there literally was smoke backfilled rooms with white people saying, okay, how we get these niggas, I'm saying, like, that literally was the goal, and that's what they did, like I was telling you, we were just discussing, I can't remember, I wish I remember the exact dates, but there was a civil rights movement before the one in the 60s, right? saying for the, I can't remember exactly when that was, but the reason why we had to do a whole nother civil rights movement is because the first time, black people, we had, during Reconstruction, all that, the first time we actually did damn well for ourselves with like Tulsa, Oklahoma, Black Wall Street. Black people were doing very well, accumulating wealth, saving money, and a lot more pockets than you think. We were we were in elected office in a lot of places. We were doing better than a lot of white people in a lot of areas, a lot of different areas, and we're finding our own enclaves, moving out and not siphoning off white people. So we're building our own over there, doing our own thing. White people, y'all were like, fuck that. You know what I'm saying? Fuck that. They got, we coming to fuck all that up. You know what I mean? And then after that, they were like, okay, let's make sure that they can't do that again. Right. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I mean by it was 100% by design. And at no point has anybody went back and been like, okay, let's actually try to reverse these things. Like, like that actually, the civil rights movement was more so about like voting rights. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, y'all can vote, I guess, but you know what I mean? Like, and I guess y'all can sit at the same table, but, we're still redlining you niggas. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was like, we locking up everybody. And that's, I could go on all day, but like, I think that's something, I think one of the bigger issues that, you know, especially when it comes to the money issue with the black community, is the fact that, you know, they lock in this, the criminal record, that part right there is such a much bigger puzzle piece to the problem than people realize, because that is literally like, that is the X. Because, you know, like my dad had a saying, I don't know where he got this from, so he may have stole this from somebody. So, but this is what he used to say, and it's something that resonated when I was a kid. He was like, so what he said was, when Martin Luther King said, you know, judge us by the content of our character, not color of our skin. White people are like, all right, bet, we got you, we got something for you. I mean, when they said that, we were like, we're gonna make the content of your character this record right here, this criminal record. That's the content of your character. We're gonna judge you by from now on, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's what they did. And now, you know what I'm saying, that's what they do with me, you know, like I'm on paper on you know, the content of my character, right? You know what I'm saying? It looks terrible, bro. And I don't get hired for nothing, you know what I mean? And that's how they were able, I feel like that was, you know, another, you know, form of control, like, you know what I mean? So,
yeah,
you know, I think that's a much bigger puzzle piece than people really like to give credit to, you know, so.
Yeah. You know, it's talking about your situation. I think that the job that you got, the last job you had managing the restaurants,
Yeah.
like you did that for 3 years or so. You had promises by the owner to expect this if you worked hard and worked out well, if you were working out as one of the managers. And, you know, you might have thought for a little bit that you were going to, you know, get out of the struggle to some degree. But then what happened? I mean,
yeah,
I don't
man,
know, you want to tell about like that
yeah.
whole trajectory there, and the expectation, and
that was one of the harder, that's really the catalyst to, you know, yeah, man, that was one of the harder moments of my life as far as an adult so far, you know, especially after getting in trouble. So, you know, I moved out here, as you know, I moved out here to Austin from Houston because, you know, it was just getting really hard in Houston. And, you know, I not being able to drive because of that criminal record I have. I guess I'm gonna give this real quick news. So I can't legally drive, you know, because my license was suspended before I ever had gotten a license. You know, that's our criminal justice system at work, right? You know, now I never, you know, how you got to go take the driving test, all that.
They kind of blocked you. They blocked you from getting it even before you had it.
Exactly. And so, you know, there's like, it's like you know, at this point, it's like a riddle. Like, how do you unsuspend a license that doesn't exist? You know what I mean? This is some real, you know, next level shit here. But, you know, anyway, so I moved to Austin because of all these complications in Houston. And Austin is smaller. I heard it was a lot more liberal, a lot more more freedom. Something was telling me I want to go to Austin. You know, I want to get out here and figure this out. So when I came out here, as you know, started working at this place, long story short, this spot, it was one of those kind of spots, very similar to like a bikini. It's called Bikinis. It doesn't exist anymore, but it was called Bikinis. It was very similar to like a Hooters or Twin Peaks, where all the girls were, you know, they would like, you know, wear kind of, you know, sexy outfits and, you know, sell people shitty food, right? But so, you know, I was hired there to manage, and I guess right off the bat, when I started managing there, first of all, the GM there, shout out to the homie, just being honest, you know, I love-hate relationship with this guy. I don't hate him at all. He's, you know, he's a product of his environment. Just being honest. Like, I kind of understand him. Just being honest, right?
Sure.
You know, but GM guy named Josh, you know, I do appreciate him giving me opportunity as far as, you know, hiring me, you know what I mean, as a manager. And but he's mad sexist. Just call a spade. Dude's mad sexist, man. Good guy though. You know what I mean? Real good guy. And my opinion, as good as a sexist guy can be. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like to me, to me, he was a good guy, you know, somewhat, you know, but he was, you know, a pretty good guy. So when I got there, he had fired all his other managers because they were like sexually harassing girls, and there was just all this drama going on there. Anybody in the industry knows there's always drama.
Wait a minute. He was firing other people because they were sexually harassing people, and he was as sexist as.
Yes. Yes. Well, I guess nobody was telling on him. I guess
he was the boss. He was the boss.
That's it. He was the boss. Exactly. That's the answer, right? You know. So and it wasn't too extreme.
How did he? You know, how was that interview with you? And
so I got lucky. So I was already managing a separate restaurant down the street off of Trinity and 6th. It was called Old School. Shout out to y'all. You know, Old School was the shit. But so I was managing over there, doing a damn good job, and word spoke around. I'm 6'7" black guy, kind of word reverberated around, the street
and
that who I was.
6th Street,
Exactly. They knew me, they loved me. Yeah, they knew me, they
Mm-hmm.
loved me. So one of the managers that was leaving, she was actually one of the only good manager there at the time. It's a girl, woman named Cece. She's great. I love her to death. She moved to Dubai to she had a job opportunity in Dubai, so she was trying to get somebody. Yeah. You remember? So so she was so right before she left, she got me in there. She wanted somebody, I guess he was asking to help find somebody to replace her, right? And we used to talk. She'd come over to my restaurant, we'd talk and stuff, and I knew that we were shutting down soon, old school. So I just made that transition over there, and that's how I got in over there, by CC's word. And she, so he wouldn't have even hired me, just being honest, as a black man. He wouldn't have done it. But that's neither here nor there. I got in on her good graces. Now, when I got in there, he fired everybody like the first day I was there. Everybody, and literally it was just me and the GM. There's only 2 managers in the whole building. You know what I mean? So for the first like 30 days, I think it was something like 28 days straight. I came in 28 days straight when I first started working there, because who else is going to close? Like, he opened every morning, I close every night, and he didn't even ask me to come in. I just, like I said, I was managing another restaurant. I knew like who's gonna come in and close. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, I know this is. I gotta like, it's weird. All right, we got in there. We get into I get in there 28 days, going hard, and I'm doing it because I'm trying. I just work hard, I want to move up, and I'm like, this is an opportunity for me to show that I'm the shit, because I know I'm the shit. And long story short, everybody loves me. I'm there working my ass off, and I've been there. There had been multiple managers. Mind you, I got hired there, I think, for $11 an hour, right? Way lower than I was making at the other bar, but it was already closing down anyway. And I was like, okay, I understand I'm black.
And no tips.
No tips. On salary. I'm on salary. On salary. So
and that's what came to.
So working like 70 hours a week, only getting paid for 40 of them, right? You know what I mean? So that was, other managers know the struggle, right? So that's about a good idea of where I was at.
Do you remember the annual salary amount, just to give people an idea?
The annual, I don't. That first year is kind of blurry, to be honest with you. I can't remember. By the end, I'm
30,000 or something, or
no, like 27, 28, something like that. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, real low.
So less than 30,000.
Yeah,
a year.
Yeah, I don't think I ever truly hit 30,000 until right at the end, maybe a little bit, because I told I'll get there, But so yeah, it was like I said, it was like $11 an hour. So you ain't making that's like 28,000 a year, I think, something like that, right? $11 an hour. Something like around that area, around that ballpark.
Okay.
I know.
Okay. All right.
But
anyway, yeah.
So I was doing that, and I managed there for years, and I did the best I could. You know what I mean? And long story short, I'm not even gonna play. I was the best manager there. It was hands down, no question. And just like I explain to you all the time, it's kind of easy to shine on white people because y'all don't really have to try. You know what I mean? Y'all just show up. I have to prove that I'm not a piece of shit. Like they would look at me like does he, fucking up kind of thing. Like when I would do the money at the end of the night and make sure all the bills were faced, there was not a crease in them. I did not get, there were nights where I wouldn't leave till, the restaurant closed at 2 a.m. I don't leave till 7 a.m. You know what I'm saying? And that's me, making sure I'm resetting every coast, make sure everything's lined up, wiping down everything, mopping the floor myself, because I let the bar back go home because we don't pay them enough to make them stay, in my opinion, So I'm like, nah, this needs to be done. But we only get paid $4 an hour at this point. So I'm not going to make you mop a whole floor at $4 an hour. That's ridiculous. You know what I mean? So, I'm doing all this for 3 years straight. By the end of it, man, I had, I couldn't do it no more. I guess so. There was so many incidents going on in between all this, right? So while I'm there, he's hiring other managers. Mind you, all of them are being paid more than me as the first, immediately on. All of them are white. All of them are immediately paid more than me. Immediately.
And that just because the word is out in
we get
atmosphere?
The checks come in. No, yeah, well I'm a manager. I'm a manager. Yeah, I see the money coming in. You know what I mean?
That is mind-blowing. Just right in front of your face. Right in front of your face.
Swear to God, man.
We're paying these other people, and here's how much we're paying you.
I'm training them. They're not working out. None of these people work out, mind you. Not one person. Like by the time when I quit, I was the longest standing manager. After 3 years, I'd been there longer than everybody in the company. Not just managing, because there's multiple. He had multiple, locations. The owner. It was the only person that had been there longer than me is the actual GM Josh guy. That guy who hired me originally. The 2 longest people stayed with the company. but from the kitchen to was me and this guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I left making $13 an hour and still being the night manager because, you know, we all know night shift's a shit shift. But, you know what I'm saying? In the industry, you know, that's the shift. You can't have a life working nights. You know what I mean? Like you can't, you know, it's hard to function. You know what I mean?
I could never reach you. And that was, there were promises made along the way though, right? That, you know, if,
Of course,
was there appreciation? Yeah. Was there? I mean,
so I think, you know, and being fair to Josh, shout out Josh, man. Being fair to Josh, he didn't have all, you know, he maybe could have fought more, but it's not his restaurant. He wasn't the owner. The owner was a guy named Doug. Doug was the guy. He's one of those people. He's the perfect encapsulation of the left of liberals, should I say, of the people who pretend to be my ally, you know, and don't give two fucks about me. You know what I mean? Like he's the definition of that. He was the kind of guy sit down in a manager meeting. It's like, yeah, everybody tell me, you know, it's real talk. Just like everybody tell me what's going on. How is everybody doing? If you need anything, what's some things we can improve in here? You know, me, Gary, okay, all right. Oh, yeah. So I'm like, yeah. So there's, you know, yeah, you know, I'm gonna let them know, you know, and it's stuff that's fair. I'm like, hey, these girls work hard. You know, we have a hard time keeping these girls like on the retention level. Like we want really good looking, really hardworking, smart girls. I'm not saying that's hard to come by. Not trying to play women here and not trying to sound sexist, but you know. Yeah. We should appreciate when we find what we're looking for and try to, you know, incentivize them to, you know, stay, right? So I'm stay. Yeah. Exactly. I'm telling them these things. I'm like, hey, you know, we can go to other restaurants. You know, this is what I do in my other, you know, when I manage other spots. We go to other restaurants, you know, try to figure out what we can trade with them, or even a hotel. Try and see like, hey, we give you all this. Okay, we get this for our employees, right? To keep the employees happy, right? He's like, yeah, that sounds great.
Perks? That was your idea.
That was my idea to help.
Some little extra
just exactly to help out. You know, and he would be like, you know, okay, it sounds great. This sounds great. No, didn't. Would just kind of like one of those people. Yeah, okay. Nothing would happen. I'm like, you know, I'm asking the GM like, so what's going on? Because you know, we have to allocate something to do that, right? You know, I have to ask him like, hey, can we you know, you know, comp, you know, all this food to send over here. Can we do this? Wouldn't allow none of this to happen. And it's just like, and then these girls would leave. Then he comes. It's like, what's going on? Why we have such high turnover? It's like, do you remember that meeting we had last week? That when you asked me what should we do, and I told you, and nothing happened. You know, so this is constantly for 3 years. I'm giving all these kinds of suggestions. My favorite, what ended it for me, I guess, at the end of it all, you know, like I said, people being hired. So at the end of it all, what killed it for me is, so I came in there as bikinis. I stayed through. He had transitioned from bikinis because, you know, obviously he actually went on this show called Horrible Bosses and got dragged on some, you know, because around the time the Me Too movement happened. And, you know, there was I don't know, some scandal he had with women at that time, the owner, Doug, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, his business wasn't getting the best rap. And, you know, it was around the Me Too time, you know, that type of business where the, you know, scantily clad women trying to sell fries.
Not in vogue.
Why not in vogue, right? Yeah. So you know, it was all looking messy. So he transitioned to another, you know, another business idea, right? And that's what he has now, whatever the hell it is, right? So I helped with that. Helped the whole, you know, was in between that, and mind you, it's actually on 6th Street. He was 2 separate restaurants, but we had share a kitchen. So I managed 2 front of houses and 1 back of house, right? Every night, you know. And mind you, you know, like I said, the morning shifts are the better shifts because you have a whole life. You're a real person. The only black guy worked for the company from the beginning to the end, only worked nights. You know what I mean? And even when I requested days,
was Doug or Josh or anybody saying, you know what, we'd like you to get you on the day shift. If you just do this for another 6 months, we'll get you on the day.
I would ask him, because I'd ask him too. I'd be like, hey man, I want to do this. Their excuse for not having me on a day shift was there is a female manager. It's like she would say, oh, I'm scared to work nights, and it was just for me, and it was just like. So I was kind of pigeonholed into the nights because, you know, we have this female manager who it's unsafe for her to work nights because, you know, black people come out at night. That was genuinely genuinely the sentiment. Yeah. And how I can prove to you, because remember, it's 6th Street, you know what I mean? So you know, at night, that's when the, you know, the club scene comes out, and there's more, you know, people of color, there's just, you know, a club, more of a club vibe scene on the street, right? And I'm saying
for sure. Yeah. For people who don't know, Austin 6th Street is the party district.
Yeah.
Scene. Yeah.
And that's mostly, you know, that was literally it. That was the reason. And, you know, it's nothing against that that manager, female manager. She was cool. You know what I mean? The problem was, you know, like the management. You know what I mean? Like those guys, like, you know, it's no. All right, let me back up and be honest. You know, she had some pretty. I could say everybody's racist, but yeah, you know what I mean? Like everybody's racist. Yeah, racist. Yeah. Everybody's racist, you know what I'm saying? And not intentionally, you know, not everybody's intentionally. It wasn't she was like, fuck these niggers, but she could have been, you know, but I do know she, you know, to being honest, maybe, you know, I can't try not to put it past people anymore. But yeah, so that was what I was dealing with, man. And towards the end, what killed me, we have these 2 restaurants, right? I helped them, you know, flip the concept, you know, I'm managing, you know, holding this stuff down. And he decides to put a speakeasy, and what a speakeasy is, you know, back in Prohibition, blah blah blah, right? I don't know if you know what a speakeasy. It's like a
little bit
a secret, like a secret bar. Yeah, exactly, like a secret bar. You know, it was the idea for Prohibition. You know, you have to have a password to get in. You know, that's very popular still in Austin or whatever, right? So, he built a speakeasy on the top of the 2 bars, like on the kind of like in the attic. You can think of something like that, right? So, built this speakeasy, hires a guy for this speakeasy. I'm still working the nights downstairs, mind you, you know, hires a new guy for the speakeasy. I've been for the company longer than everybody. I am, you know, I'm telling you how I know I'm the most reliable person there. That's why you know, they tell me like, oh, you know, we need somebody reliable to do the money, this, that, and the other. That's, you know, one of the excuses they were saying that why they kept me at nights, you know what I'm saying? They hire this guy, pay him like $20 an hour. He gets so drunk every night as a manager. He can't do his own money up there. So I have to wait for him to finish closing that up there when I'm done with mine, which I do quicker because I'm not drinking on the job, right? You know what I'm saying? Right. So I close down 2 front of houses and a kitchen, get all the employees out, finish all my money, write the notes, you know what I'm saying? Put everything in the daily log, you know what I'm saying? Before this dude finishes his shit, have to wait for this guy to, you know, whatever fuck he's doing, do his money too, you know? And then I can go home. That was before I left, that was where I was. And at $13 an hour, I was like, I'm going to blow this bitch up. You know what I'm saying? I was like, I'm going to come in here and shoot everybody, bro. I'm about to shoot it. You know what I'm saying? People getting fucked up if I have to. I'm out. I'm done. I can't do this no more, man. Like, and it's one of those epiphanies like, oh, I was never going to, like, and it hurt. And it's like, you know, there's probably my black people out there probably living like, dumbass, thought he was going to move up something. You know, I can imagine if the stupid ass, you know, like, he thought she was going to move up.
Now that it's over and done, you're like, of course.
Exactly. It's like,
that's when it started. That's where it's going to end. I was never
I never had an opportunity. I never had an opportunity.
Raise. Never going to get $20 an hour. Crazy. None of that.
Not me. Damn it was never going to happen. And you know, and that's where, you know, I had spiraled pretty bad, man, for like the next year after that, man. To be honest with you, I haven't worked since. Not seriously. I haven't tried to, since then I haven't tried to, like, I'm not managing, like, I'm not playing that game. No,
you've got all the skills, but you have been exposed to the reality in a very
not playing this game anymore.
In a very harsh way that turned you that just changed your mind about working for the man anymore.
Ever again. And the big thing, like I told you, like this wasn't like my first job. This is, you know, years of this, you know what I mean? Like constantly trying my hardest. And when I say trying my hardest, like it's beyond trying hard. You know what I mean? Like I you know, I'm giving it my all out here. You know what I mean? Like as far as getting to work, you know, and I'm, again, like I said, I'm poor still. While this is going on, I'm still barely paying bills, and, you know, saying in the midst of all this for years, you know what I mean? Like you remember I'm barely talking to people because, you know, like my schedule was 4 p.m. to 2 a.m. So, you know, 4 p.m. to 4 a.m. That's what I was scheduled, because it takes about 2 hours. You know, you close at 2 a.m. It takes about 2 hours to close down the restaurant fully, especially at 2 front, whatever. I'm there from 12
hours a day.
I'm there at least, and it was from 4 p.m. more consistently. It was 4 p.m. to 6 a.m. You know, because, you know, it was a lot of work to do. It was more, and so I get by the time I get home and get up, it'd be 2 p.m. So I wasn't talking to friends.
Get home means you can't just go get in your car and drive home.
I can't drive.
You know,
exactly.
You got that whole additional problem. Because I remember one time I couldn't reach you, and you were like, yeah, man, it took me some days to reach you. You're like, well, I was walking home. It started raining. My phone got wet. It wouldn't work. It wouldn't work anymore. So now I don't have a phone, and I don't have money, or the, you know, like rent's due, and so that's just the struggle.
And that's the struggle, right? Yeah. And one more to that. Remember when I moved out there, you know, I decided to get a moped because I found that anything under 50 cc's, you don't have to have a driver's license. True, but the police don't care. Police don't care. It's not. I mean, it's true. I mean, I looked it up. It's in the law. You can still get a ticket. And if they decide to give you a ticket, you have to fight the ticket. It doesn't matter.
And you got stopped on that moped
on
because you were 6'7"?
Yeah, I went to jail. I went to jail. Right, exactly. I went to jail 4 times on this moped. 4 times. I've been stopped more than 4 times. I went to jail 4 times on this moped.
On a riding a moped to work that you owned.
Yep.
You went to jail 4 times.
4 times here. Yep. 4 times. Swear to God. 4 times. 4 separate times. And every time it was just like, what's happening? What are we doing here? What's going on? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was just like, and they see me like, cause I work nights. So it's 4 o'clock. And anytime, this is what kills me when I tell them, this is how you know that white supremacy is real. Like, it's a complicity thing, right? When I went to the management, my other coworkers management, when I was working there, and I tell them like, cause one day this would happen after I get off work. Like, 4 o'clock in the morning, 4 a.m. I'm trying to ride home on a moped. So I tell them, I got stopped, last night going home. They'd be like, yeah, no, that makes sense. And I'd be like, what do you mean? How does it make sense? I mean, 4 a.m., you're riding home on a moped. And I'm like, exactly. And, well, black, and this is literally what it is. Black guy, 4 a.m. riding home on a moped. Then it's like, I would stop you too. That's usually the response I get from everybody. If you're white, every white person I've ever told that story to, they're like, yeah, no, it makes sense. They stopped you. Swear to God. And it's just like, I'm just like, okay, all right. Well, I mean, if you understand, then this will never change. You know what I mean? Like, if this makes sense to y'all, well, this is my life, I guess. So that's,
hey, I wanted to transition to talk a little bit about the being a member of the co-op. So you obviously know, but other people don't know that Marty and the Breaux as an entity is formed as a co-op. And so while we're talking about money, I thought it'd be a good time to talk to people about joining the co-op. Just like REI, you have a membership, maybe it's $30 when you join. And then it's a one-time fee. You're a member of the co-op. And Marty and the Breaux, we're going to ask people to join the co-op here also. The thing is that's a little special about this is that we're looking at a model that we're calling value for value, need for need, skin for skin. And we're asking people to join this co-op at whatever value seems right for them, because everybody's sort of in a different place around money. Obviously, people from the NPR crowd are going to be a lot different than people from your community in terms of their ability to join a co-op, especially something like this, right?
Exactly.
So what we're going to do, sorry, I got a dog. Can you hear the dog in the background?
Yeah, people love dogs. Don't worry about it.
Okay. All right. So what we're going to ask people to do is to sign up to join this co-op and become members of the co-op. But when we say any value for value, you join at whatever value feels right for you above zero. So any amount above zero, and you're a part of the co-op. And we really want you to be a part of this, because if you join the co-op, then you get member content. That's after party. You get some interaction with us as we go forward. So we'd really, most of all, just like you to support what we're doing, because we do have people that we want to pay for their work. Now, we're not talking about me. We got 6 people that are founding members of the co-op. And some of them are like me. We're not looking to make money off the co-op. Yeah. But like like Alex that contributed the artwork, the work that you've done, and we would like there to be money for you to actually earn some money for the work that you're putting in towards this. We think that we've got some compelling content to tell here, and we hope that people will support us financially. Now, here's the thing. When we think about members, we're going to think about climbers and co-signers, and probably it'll be another episode. I think we'll talk about what it means more about being a co-signer. But the co-signers are the folks that have, well, I don't know. Let's do it now. When we talk about co-signers in your life, what does that mean to you, and how does that fit into the conversation of the races and what we can do to hopefully help a little bit this pretty bad situation that we've got regarding people from your community stuck in the struggle. What do you things that you need, people from where you're from, what do you need to get out of that struggle, even just a little bit? And that's sometimes it's a co-signer.
Exactly. Agreed. I think you're 100% right. Co-signer, at least what a co-signer has been in my life has been instrumental. Like people like Kirk, like I told you about, real, like, without him, you wouldn't have known me, right? And same with you. Like you've been a co-signer in my life multiple times, and what a co-signer can do and is for me is somebody who, like, I think a big issue that with my community, and not just the Black community, but just in general, I don't know how to say other than fuck ups, right? You know what I'm saying? And that's more so I want to hone in on more than just Black people, because there are Black people who are just fine in this system, in this community, out here. They're engineers, they're fine. They talk like this. How's it going? You know what I mean? Those, I love those my brothers. Don't get me wrong, I love them, but that's not who I'm really, that's not who needs the help, right? You know what I'm saying? Who needs the help is a homie, like, what I'm saying, one of my niggas from Houston, Josh, who, what I'm saying, neck task, what I'm saying, he's still, if I told
Josh,
it's different Josh, right? Exactly.
There's Black Josh and White Josh that goes out on the lake on the weekends. And,
exactly. This Josh, if I told him, I'm saying, if I asked him what's popping, he gets on some real gang shit real quick. You know what I mean? But still a good guy. I know it may sound weird to you, but a real good guy. But that's that's the community he grew up in, right? So, but help somebody like him, a co-signer for somebody like him, will be instrumental. Because for me, what really helped me, a big issue I had was, or at least in my community, I believe is, there's a lot of time people give up on the worst of us, and I think that's a lot to do with white supremacy, not just white supremacy, but like the whole issue of, if you make us look bad to these white people, saying, you're going to ruin it for all of us, right? Saying, like, if I'm associated with you, then they're going to think I'm one of you too, like the worst of us too. Does that make sense? So I think having somebody that doesn't give up on you, even though, or that's what a co-signer is, in my opinion, right? Somebody who, when you need the help, saying, will be there for you. Like for me, when I got arrested, saying, like, I was in the wrong, I was wrong, I got arrested, right? You know what I mean? And Kirk came in, the only person to come in, he looked, came in, visited me, was like, hey, you're an idiot, come, call me when you get out, and for me, it gave me so much to, and he put money on my books as well too, right? You know what I'm saying? And it just that those things alone, like, just that alone is why it gave me something to hold on to. It's like, when I get out of here, I can hit up Kirk, the homie, you know what I'm saying, who can help me, you know what I'm saying, and possibly not have to do shit like this anymore, right? You know what I mean?
Just to be clear, Kirk is not Black.
Yeah, right. Now Kirk's he's an Asian. He's actually the guy the guy we were talking about the story with the socks.
Yeah,
he's that guy,
socks,
the Asian guy.
Story.
Yeah, good.
Okay.
Close
give him
friend.
A name. He's a good guy.
Kirk. Yeah, Kirk. Yeah. I love him to death. I love Kirk. But yeah, man. So yeah, that's. I'm sorry. He was
what that did for you was more than just what you might look at the surface. It did a lot more for you.
Exactly. It was, not just the financial, aspects of him helping me, but like, like I said, the more the emotional support, the knowing that, like there are people who he didn't just assume, like, didn't just throw me away like, oh, he's like the rest of them. You know what I mean? Like, does that make sense? Because even in my community, even in the community, that happens, right? So, for example, there's, like, it happened. I'm just going, straight up, like, my family has happened, right? I've been kicked out of houses, you know what I'm saying, and because they found weed on me, and it's like they basically thrown to the wolves, literally in the streets. You know what I'm saying? The place where we die, thrown out there because I had weed on me. You know what I mean? Like, that's, and when I older looking back at it now and trying to understand what it was our community, they don't want, it's the white supremacy. They want to try and fit in so much with white society. It's like anything that goes against that, it's just like, no, you keep that stuff way over there, because it's, it's,
I got you.
It's a problem, you know what I mean? And like I said, like what a cosigner does, what a cosigner would do, especially somebody who is Black, isn't Black, what somebody would do, somebody in my community, it's a connection that, normally wouldn't be there. Like I said, like somebody like Kirk, like, it changed my whole life. This is a random Asian dude who decided to care about some nigga who, who literally ain't never even been out to eat until he was 18. You know what I mean? Like, that
right.
It meant
and
the
you
world
met
to
him
me.
when you were like 19 or 20 or something?
Yeah, well, actually, I met him. He was the one that actually took me out to my first restaurant unknowingly.
He's the guy.
He's the guy. Yeah, I told you. I'll give this real quick story. This is back in 2008. My mom had died. My mom died in 2008, right? And also 2008 was a crazy year. Mom's dead. black man trying to be trying to be president, right? So it was a real roller coaster for me in 2008, and it was the year I was supposed to graduate high school, right? So a lot going on for me, you know. So so long story short, you know, like my mom had just passed away in February. You know, it's around this time, it's November coming up. I had just wanted, you know, trying to do different things. I decided to, you know, I'm seeing news about this black guy running for president. I, you know, sent some money, you know, to him because, you know, black guy running for president. I was like, all right, I'll donate to the campaign. So I wanted really to get a shirt.
It was like $5 or something. Or?
It was, you know, it was. I bought a shirt. Is what I did. You know,
okay.
Like, I wanted to rep, right? You know what I'm saying? I wanted like, this shirt's kind of fly on me. You know what I'm saying? So I know something, right? So I bought a shirt and signed up for email.
The Hope with his
exactly. It was like, oh yeah, it was exactly what it was. Yeah, it was kind of icy. It was kind of no. It was the one where he had like half red, half blue, and he like it was like
that's Hope.
It said Hope. That's the Hope.
Yeah.
Icy. Yeah. So I was like, I like that. I'm getting that. So I bought that shirt.
Yeah,
and
that's a classic.
Yeah, so I bought that shirt and I signed up for his emails, and when I signed up for the emails, he they emailed me back like, hey, just so happens there's a bus leaving Fifth Ward to go to Las Cruces, New Mexico, and help them, you know, help him win the campaign. Yeah, you want to go? And I was like, and it's so wild how this works because, like, you know, back then, this is before. I feel so old. This is before.
You feel old.
Yeah. All right. This is like smartphones weren't a thing, man. This is back when the Sidekick was still, you know what I'm saying? Razor, the Sidekick, you know what I mean? So this is back when you had
clamshell.
Yeah. Social media is there. Facebook wasn't, you know, Facebook had just started. I wasn't really just on Facebook. I wasn't on Facebook in 2008. I don't think. I got on 2009. Yeah. So, you know, Facebook, it was just kind of coming things. So I had to go to the public library to get on, to check my email and shit. So, you know, after school, I go to the library, you know what I mean? I know. So it's this place, kids, where you go and there's books, you know, because who the hell knows what the library is now, right? But so I was, so I go to the library, right? You know what I'm saying? And I went there and look at my email. This is back when the Pandora was only online, right? I'm dating myself, man. I go listen to my little Pandora thing, you know what I mean? Back when it was new, you know, and it was like, hey, let's go do this. So literally it was like the bus is leaving in 3 hours. And I was like, oh, it all seemed like that day I looked at the email. It turned out that the bus was leaving that day, right? So I jumped up, you know, I had to go run to the schoolhouse, you know, because the school was down. I told you, my school was downtown. My school was an old mattress store. So it was like, it was a few blocks down from the library, downtown library. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's all downtown Houston, you know? So, you know, I make it to the school and I'm like, hey man, look, there's you know, I tell my counselor at the time, because they pretty much let me do my own thing because it was an alternative school for fuck ups. And basically they were like, we just need y'all to pass this goddamn tax test. You know what I'm saying? That was the goal. Yeah. There was nothing more.
If you do that, you can do whatever else you want.
Nothing, bro. College didn't matter. They didn't give a fuck. And that's what they let me do because I passed the tax test. You know, I passed tax. They were like, all right, whatever. You ain't got to come in. You know, like literally that didn't. My last year, I stopped going to school and they still counted me like I was there. True story, right? But, you know, so I passed, you know, so I tell them like, I'm going to go do this. They're like, cool, whatever, you know? So I go, you know, jump on this. I go to Fifth Ward, you know, barely make this thing. I jump on this bus and I didn't think about it.
The Fifth Ward, I think people just are going to know what we mean by the Fifth Ward, but that's an area of Houston that is not River Oaks.
Exactly. Yeah. Shout out Fifth Ward. I love Fifth Ward. So I'm not a big fan of North Side of Houston. They're gonna hate me for saying it, but I'm from the Southwest side of Houston. But I love Fifth Ward, man. I love my people out there, man. It's whatever. Absolutely. But so Fifth Ward is dope. But so I went there, I jump on this bus. No money, bro. It didn't even dawn on me that I'd need money. I'm gone for days. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I'm just decided, let's go. You know what I'm saying? I'm riding. We're going to get this nigga elected. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you know what I mean? I jump on this bus, no money. You know, I'm on there, broke as fuck.
Like a backpack with some underwear or anything? Some socks? Oh, you had the holy socks.
I had nothing. I had one pair of clothes. Nothing. I didn't go home. I just went straight from there to school. Like it was so dumb. So I'm on there, like, and I didn't even, to be honest with you, I didn't even think about this. I didn't think about this on the bus until we made it to San Antonio. I didn't even think about these things. I'm on the bus. There was nothing but old white people, and there's one really cute like girl, like college girl. Because I guess only people that are doing this are people who aren't working, right? So it's all old people, and this one college student who I guess was doing it for like extracurricular activity, or maybe she really cared. I don't know. She was cute.
Everybody, since it's the Fifth Ward, picking up everybody's black in the bus.
No. nobody's black. I'm the only black guy on the bus.
Black.
Nobody's black.
Are you kidding me?
Nobody's black. They're all old white people. And there's only one black person. That was that younger, like this college girl chick. She was a black chick, college. Like I said, I'm in high school at the time. I'm in high school, mind you. You know what I mean? So I'm flirting with this black chick the whole time. I'm making her laugh. I'm pretty older looking back. She must have been like, I'm pimpled. I have pictures from back then. Pimple faced, baby faced. Like, I don't know what I thought I was doing out here. I thought I was macking on something, but I'm pretty sure she was just like, this nigga's entertaining. I'll let him shoot his shot.
It's a long bus ride.
Exactly.
Use some entertainment.
Exactly.
There's no movies being shown here, so.
It's exactly what it was. Now that I'm older, I can look back and be like, yeah, I had no chance. You know what I mean? So this is where Kirk comes in though, right? So I'm on there, my son's, and I'm like, Jesus Christ. So by the time I make it to San Antonio, Kirk comes on and he's like, mind you, I've already been on the bus since Houston. Me and a couple of these old white people, this girl. Yeah. Kirk comes on, this Asian guy comes in, it's like, hey y'all, I'm the bus captain. And I'm like, who the fuck is this? This nigga come out of nowhere. Bro, we've been on this bus for hours, bro. You bus captain, nigga. I'm like, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, I don't want to hear that shit, So I'm in the back like, boo, boo, we don't need no bus captain, So I got old girl dying laughing too, right? You know what I'm saying? I'm just being goofy, like. Yeah, I'm so at first I didn't like Kirk, because who are you? Who's this authority? Yeah, nigga, we don't need you trying to roll call, nigga. We all here, you know what I mean? So that's what. So I didn't like him at first, So he comes by, starts talking to everybody. He's like, "How you doing? You need anything?" Everybody, going by with everybody being fair. And he comes to me. He's like, "You need anything?" I'm like, "Nah, I'm good. Now I'm straight." You know what I'm saying? Trying to be all stand off, cool. And he's like, "Cool, whatever." So he starts talking to everybody, and we make our first stop, which is a truck stop. Everybody gets out, stretches their legs. This is when I realize I fucked up. This is when I realize it. Right, the first stop, bro, nothing, bro. And I was like, "Oh my god!" And I started thinking about it. I was like, "We're gonna be here 2 days." And I was like, I was like, wait a minute. I don't know why I thought they'd be so. Something in my head was like, I guess because I'm in high school, I'm thinking like they'll have lunch. You know what I mean? Like, like I guess I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know, bro. I'm like, it's starting to dawn on me. Like, I'm gonna die out here. You know what I'm saying? Like, starting to hit me on the little. I'm like, fuck. I'm about to.
Cruises. New Mexico is like the desert. You're gonna die in the desert out there.
Never. Mind you, I've never been on a road trip. I've never been outside of Texas at this. I ain't never done nothing at this point. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right. This is before the restaurant.
This is before. This is the story.
You're meeting Kirk now, and then
that's how I got to restaurant. Okay. Actually, so this is how I went to my first restaurant, right? So, that was the first truck stop. I don't even get off the bus, and Kirk's like, "You good? You all right?" I'm like, "No, I'm straight." So I'm embarrassed. I have pride. I'm not finna tell I'm broke. I need some. That's not, that's not my energy. I'm gonna be like, "No, I'm good."
No, I'm not gonna help your game.
Yeah, I'm like, "No, I'm straight. I'm chilling." And
I'm good.
Yeah, it ain't nothing for me. A little lightweight. You know what I'm saying? I need to lose some weight anyway. So. The next stop comes by, and I don't even know where we are. We're like Texarkana or something. Because it takes forever to get the fuck out of Texas. Yeah. So we're still in Texas, but almost about to get out into like Oklahoma or somewhere. We're about to get somewhere out of Texas, right? And and we get to the last bus stop before in Texas before we get
for the state line.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm on there, and this is when everybody gets out, and they're all like going. It's a truck stop / restaurant / shower. I don't know. It's a big ass thing. I don't know. I've never I don't take
truck stop.
People who I still don't because I can't drive. I've never been nothing like that to this day. That was the first and only time I've ever been to anything like that. Right. So this is where I first went to eat. You know what I mean? So at this truck stop, I sit down in this truck stop. Well, long story short, I get out with everybody because I want to stretch my legs and shit too. And I'm kind of walking around looking at shit and food and stuff. And Kirk, that's why I shot, man. He's a really good guy. He's kind of like, I guess he's noticing, I guess, he's like, this dude must be broke or something. Because I guess I'm window shopping the food and I just jump back on the bus and he comes back. He's like, "You hungry? Why don't you get nothing to eat?" And I'm like, "No, I'm good, man." He's like, "Come here." And I was just like, all right. Right? Yeah. So he comes, takes me off and he's, saying, he's like, "Just come with me, just sit down. We'll just sit down." You know what I mean? We'll just sit, hang out with me in this restaurant is what he has asked me to do. I was like, all right, bro. So we go ahead.
No, I'm not hanging out with the bus captain.
Yeah. That's how I'm thinking about him. I'm like, this dude, all right. Really, I'm starving on the inside. So I sit down with him. And this is the first time I sat down and looked at a menu in my life. You know what I mean? Like at this bus stop. restaurant.
Wow.
Yeah, man. So I'm, and I was so much anxiety because I've never been around so many people talking and eating, and just like, it was weird. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I didn't like I immediately lost my appetite, like I ordered food and couldn't eat it. You know what I mean?
Oh, the anxiety. Yeah.
Yeah. I ordered food, couldn't eat it. And then as soon as I got on the bus, man, I was like, oh, God, fucking destroyed that shit. Immediately on the bus. And then me and Kirk sat down and he started talking to me more. He just started, started asking me questions like, so, why'd you come on here? What's that? So I was the youngest, blackest guy on the bus, obviously, And so he's curious. He's like, so what made you come here? What's this? And he was like, you're in high school? And he was just like, wait. Why are you here? And I was just like, I saw it was an email. I was like, yeah, let's go. And he was like, what? For some reason, I don't he thought it was amazing. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. He thought, he was like, he kept saying like, that's impressive. That's nice. And I was just like, in my mind, I was like, what? This is a free ride out the state. Why do you mean? Like, this is, of course, a vacation, nigga. What you mean? Like, in my mind, so I'm like, yeah, for sure. But, we really started like bonding. Like, I started talking to him, telling him about my life. He was just fascinated by all the stories and stuff. And he was just like, wow, and we went out there and, he basically took me under his wing the whole time we were out there, man. We started, we started canvassing on my first time canvassing, I'm talking, yeah, man, that was, I walk in this one white dude's yard. He was like, get out my yard. I'm sicking my dogs out. I was like, yeah, all right. I hear you. I hear you loud and clear, brother. I'm telling you, that was one of those, it was one of the craziest times of my life because that was the first time I ever saw, like, literally when Obama won, because I was out there in Las Cruces when he won the presidency. There's fucking white people crying, hugging each other. I was just like, these white people are happy. Like, I don't know. It was something I never experienced, something like that. You know what I mean? Like I said, I grew up on southwest side of Houston. I went, from Bissonnette, Fondren. You know what I'm saying? I was in Post Oak. Like, well, we ain't in the South. You
had very limited horizons.
Yeah,
at that point in time.
Yeah, white people look at you, like they when you're in the neighborhood or something. It's not like, for example, the whole, how like there's a whole movement now that, the Karens, we see them on video, kicking kids out the pool. But when I was growing up, it was just known you don't go into the pool because they gonna call the police or kick your ass up out of there, right? You know what I'm saying? I'm glad now that we exposed that. That was like,
you didn't need to wait for Karen.
Well, I mean, Karen, she was gonna come. If you don't, like, we can
come.
You'd go, Karen. That's the thing. Yeah, she was gonna come, and it was never the guy. That's what a lot of people don't understand. Like, people think, white supremacy is all this patriarchal. It's like, no, the woman would always come get us kids. It was always the lady be like, hey, you little niggas, get out of here. You know what I mean? When the guy comes, that's when it's like, it's run time. You know what I'm saying? Because he's going to try and grab you. Yeah, for real. Yeah, he's going to actually put his hands on you. The lady at least will be like, you little shits. You know what I'm saying? And she's gonna stand there, her arms folded, and call the police. And that's her. Yeah. It's the woman's attitude. You can get away from her cussing out, bitch. Running, run off. That dude, he's gonna jump in the truck. You know what I'm saying, and chase us down. Yeah, it's kids, man.
Hey, we're pretty close to time. I think it's actually been about an hour and a half. I want to say just one more thing about inviting people to join the co-op. I say any amount above zero gets you in. 50 cents, whatever. $10, 20, 50, 100, 1,000. 1,000 would be great. And then the thing about a cosigner, if you sign up and you want to identify yourself, self-identify as a cosigner, because we don't have a checkbox for that. But if you end the amount that you decide to join the co-op with a 5, and I'm not talking about like $5, but I'm saying like 15 or 25, 35, starting at 15, any dollar amount that you join with that has a 5, ends with a 5, you're telling us that you want to sign up as a cosigner. So there may be some people that would like to join the co-op, but literally it doesn't make sense to them financially to even send us 50 cents and go through that trouble. But they still like to be a part of the Marty and the Breaux co-op organization as a member. And so signing up as a cosigner means that we're going to try to match you up with somebody that needs a cosigner. And that's how you'll self-identify by a dollar amount that ends with a 5. So I just want to get that out there, and we'll have a link at martyandthebro.com that that you can join the co-op. So hopefully we'll get a few people to join. We'd love to have you.
Hell yeah. Yeah, man. That's dope, man. I love the idea of a co-signer too, because like I said, it's just been so instrumental in my life. You know what I mean? Having, like I said, it's just, you know, being able to, it's one of the hardest things to do is be consistent. You know what I mean? Like that's, you know, and that alone, and for me, being able to be consistent, like having Kirk, having you in my life to help me, you know, to be there if I, you know, if I need some help and be able to keep, you know, that consistency going is the only reason I'm even where I am now, right? So, you know, so that's dope, you know.
Still in the struggle though. I mean, you're still in the struggle.
Well, definitely. Yeah. We're still in America is really what it is, man. I think I told you about that epiphany I had. You know, because we're talking, you know, doing a lot of, you know, trying to get our minds right.
Yeah. No, I know. Yeah. We'll definitely, we'll talk about that for sure. Cause I thought that was really pretty powerful and true. So yeah, we have a later episode where we're going to talk a lot more about that. So.
Hell yeah. I'm down.
But anyway, we should probably sign off. It's been good.
Yeah, man. Yeah, this is a good one. Yeah, bro.
So. All right. Well, much love, brother.
Much love to you, man. Yo, you like what you just saw? Make sure you like, share, subscribe so the algorithms can algorithm or whatever sorcery they do. Follow us on our socials. Links all down in the description. And let's keep rocking.